All right, before we start, since CrossFit is supposed to be constantly varied, a lot of people seem to think that anything that makes you sweaty or miserable is CrossFit. So let's settle this real quick. So I'm going to give you something and we'll just real quick, just, yes or no, yay or nay, like, is it a CrossFit workout? All right. And so I'll call you out. So 21, 15, 9 of thrusters and pull-ups. Wes Piatt, is that a CrossFit workout?
Brand, yes.
There we go. Wes Kitts, you agree?
Yeah, I would recognize that one.
All right. Anybody think that's not a CrossFit workout? We're all on board. That's CrossFit. Okay. Next up, a single 100-meter sprint. Is that CrossFit? Kenny Santucci, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I've seen it in CrossFit competitions before.
There we go.
In the CrossFit games.
There we go. Alen, 100-meter sprint. Is that a CrossFit workout?
I mean, it could be a CrossFit workout, but I would say no, that it's just a 100-meter sprint.
Interesting. Wes Piatt, you work for CrossFit. You teach people level ones. What do you think? Is that a CrossFit workout?
The answer is it depends on the context in which it's being done in. And if it's in a CrossFit affiliate with other CrossFit programming before and after it, I would say yes.
Okay, there we go. Wes Kitts, you just flipped weight, so we're going to skip you on the running. Okay, a marathon. Running a marathon, is that a CrossFit workout? I believe, Kenny, you've ran a marathon, yeah?
I've ran about 10 of them.
Okay, so Kenny's ran a few marathons. Kenny, is running a marathon a CrossFit workout?
It could be a part of a CrossFit workout, I guess, but I wouldn't consider it a CrossFit workout.
Okay, Piatt?
No, I'd say that's a test.
That's a test. All right. Now, what about parking the furthest spot at the grocery store, carrying all the bags in one trip? Would we say Wes Kitts? Is that a CrossFit workout? Weightlifter Wes Kitts?
Are we timing it?
Yeah, we can time it. Yeah.
Or is it like reps? Like it's a few reps as possible?
No, one trip is the whole. That's
one trip. So it has to be, time it and we're good.
Okay. Sounds good. Alen, you agree?
I agree. I agree.
What about drinking too much coffee on Sunday morning and you're jittery and sweaty sitting on the couch watching football? What about, because that's something that happens to me sommes. Wes,
I've done that one. Yeah, I've done that one.
You've done that? Did it feel like a workout?
I was out of breath.
Okay, what about this last one? What about 1,000-meter run, 1,000-meter ski erg, 1,000-meter run, 50-meter sled push, 1,000-meter run, 50-meter sled pull, 1,000-meter run, 80-meter burpee broad jump, 1,000-meter run, 1,000-meter row, 1,000-meter run, 200 meters farmer's carry, 1,000-meter run, 100-meter sandbag lunges, 1,000-meter run, and 75 wall balls. Is that a CrossFit workout, Kenny Santucci?
HYROX right there.
That's HYROX. So that's not a CrossFit workout.
So, I mean, it is. It is. I mean, I've debated people in HYROX and CrossFit about it when I was one of the lucky few who got to do the first ever HYROX in the United States in Miami years ago. And I go, this is a CrossFit workout. And they're like, no, it's not. I go, yeah, it is. So I felt.
Yeah. Well, so basically, it's CrossFit with less skill movements and more shin splints, right? Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal and why we're all here, why this group of people are here is lately there's been a lot of clips of people in CrossFit talking about HYROX while openly admitting they've never done a race. I actually just listened to a podcast that came out earlier this week with that exact thing. Love these guys. They do a great show, but they discuss HYROX for 30 minutes and neither one of them have ever done one. Right. So I also have not participated in a HYROX race. So that's why I brought in some seasoned experts and Wes are here just to make sure I'm not outnumbered. All right. So with me today, we have Wes Kitts, two-time Olympian, gym owner, and probably the only guy on this call who clean and jerked over 400 pounds this week, but also the only one who'd puke halfway through the first kilometer of a HYROX race. We also have Kenny Santucci, longtime CrossFitter, HYROX athlete, owner of Strong New York, host of Strong AF podcast, and the only man who successfully rebranded from MTV reality TV star to functional fitness heartthrob. We got Alen Kunica, owner of CrossFit The Den in Medford, Oregon, one of the few gyms running both CrossFit and HYROX under one roof without starting a turf war. He is the Switzerland of functional fitness. We also have Wes Piatt, CrossFit Red Shirt, affiliate owner, and leader of men. If you're struggling and you want dudes to talk to, hit up Wes, join Weebus, and they'll help you out. I'm Danny Lehr from Caffeine Kilos, gym owner, coffee dealer, and your friendly moderator who's going to ask your opinion and then tell you that you're wrong. Before we dig in, last thing real quick is we need to do a get to know you. All right. So, because if people are going to take your opinion on this topic, they need to know how you think. Right. So who's a better athlete, an F1 driver or a baseball first baseman? Wes Kitts, your thought, better athlete, F1 driver or baseball first baseman?
I'll go with the race car driver.
Race car driver?
Mm-hmm.
Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd go with the race car driver too. It's a lot more performance involved. I think when you're an athlete, baseball anyway, there's a lot of skill involved. Obviously, you could be an athlete, but I think when it comes to hierarchy of like skilled or functional, whatever you want to call it, strength athletes, I think baseball players are bottom.
Yeah, first baseman, not a whole lot of running there. Wes Piatt, you got an opinion on this? A strong one?
No, I'm with you guys.
All right, Alen.
Yep, I'm with you guys. I think there's a lot less F1 drivers than there are first basemen out there. So
that's the truth. All right, we'll go same order. Wes, hot dogs or hamburgers?
Hamburgers.
There we go. Kenny?
Hot hamburgers for sure.
Hamburgers.
Cheeseburger.
Wes Piatt.
Yeah, hamburgers.
Hamburgers? Alen?
Yeah.
hamburgers.
You guys are all wrong. Hot dogs are better. Okay, and here we go. Knowing that plants are technically alive, maybe even sentient, and they communicate with one another, in your opinion, is it morally worse to eat a basket of carrots or a steak? Wes Kitts, you go first.
I think you might be killing more carrots than animals on the steak versus the carrots thing.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to kill all those carrots and eat them. So
That's it. Wes Piatt.
Yeah, definitely carrot.
Okay. Alen?
Carrots all the way.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, a single cow feeds how many people, right? But like a basket of carrots, there's like 8 lives at least in like the little plastic packs. It's a whole thing. Okay. So now that we've covered meat ethics and the peak of athleticism, when CrossFit blew up, USA weightlifting was clutching their pearls. You're bastardizing the lifts. You're ruining the sport. All right. You guys remember that?
Yeah,
Then boom, 10 years later, USA weightlifting was thriving. CrossFit put barbells in the hands of thousands, including kids, and many of your recent Olympians entered the sport through CrossFit. And subsequently, the US started actually winning international medals in the sport of weightlifting again. Now the roles have flipped. CrossFit's the old guard, and everyone is side-eyeing HYROX like it's CrossFit that they bought on Alibaba Express. So here's the question. Should CrossFit embrace HYROX like USA weightlifting should have embraced CrossFit? Are we just watching the same movie over again, but this time with more running on cement floors? So let's kick this off. Big picture. CrossFit got hated on by USA weightlifting, but both grew. Now CrossFitters are hating on HYROX. Wes, as a weightlifter, you lived through the first wave. You know, what parallels do you see? Or if not, could you at least speak to, what CrossFit did for weightlifting? And if you had any experience early on of some weightlifters, talking CrossFit.
Yeah, so I found weightlifting in a CrossFit gym. So that I walked in one, they had a weightlifting club, and I feel like CrossFit actually used to be a lot more weightlifting friendly. Now they seem a little more weightlifting adverse. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of jokes being passed around on some bad movements, and of course you got the highlight clips from the max snatch attempts and the open and things like that. But ultimately USAW benefited, in a really big way. I guess I could see HYROX working that way for CrossFit, so long as I don't know if CrossFit works it the right way. If they can, get HYROX in these gyms, or if they can be collaborative in some way instead of pushing it away. I could see it benefit. We've got one on the panel that's already brought it into his gym. I'd certainly like to get a HYROX class going and just kind of show them, hey, you can do this other thing and it'll make you better at this thing that you think super cool right now. And eventually they're going to get tired of doing that same workout every day. So they might want to do some weightlifting at some point. So I'm here for it.
Kenny, you've competed in both. Is HYROX the next evolution, the next CrossFit knockoff, or just a fun way to spend your weekend?
Well, I think HYROX opens the floodgates up just like CrossFit has. It opens up the floodgates to more people wanting to exercise. that's my whole initiative and my whole kind of ethos to what I'm trying to do is totally. How do we get more people exercising and moving? I feel like we're the same guys who went through weightlifting and went through CrossFit and went through powerlifting and went through all the things. It's like we need more new people in there, right? We need more people coming to our gyms and doing what we do. So whether the gateway drug is HYROX, CrossFit, weightlifting, I don't care what it is. Let's just get more people exercising. So I think it's a dummied down version of CrossFit. It's a more user-friendly version of CrossFit. And yeah, I think we're seeing the same again. It's like the adventure racing, the Tough Mudders and the Spartans. We're seeing these. Yeah. It's the same thing. We're watching this story happen again. The lifespan of HYROX, I don't know what that is. It seems like it's a little bit more relevant than the last few of them, but do I think it's ever going to peak the impact that CrossFit had? I don't know. Maybe.
Right. Alen, as a gym owner doing both, is it competition or collaboration?
It's collaboration. It's always hard to get people in the gym if that's never done CrossFit before. They're always, afraid of the CrossFit, the movements, and they think it's way too hard. But since I opened up my doors to HYROX, I'm getting a flood of, I call them like boutique gyms, the Orange Theory, the F45 ladies or guys that are actually walking through these doors and seeing actually what CrossFit's all about. So I see that when I run dual classes, they're peeking over, looking at, they're doing some weightlifting over. What's that over there while we're doing our HYROX classes at the same time? So to me, it's a great thing. And sometimes I have some of my CrossFitters peeking over when I run dual classes and be like, you know what, I'll do that today because I don't really want to lift overhead. And it just, to me, it's a great collaboration.
Wes, being so involved with CrossFit for so long, what are your thoughts on it? Do you feel like it's a way to get more people in the gym, or do you feel like it's actually distraction and detracts from what you're trying to do?
No, not at all. I think, I understand everybody needs to have an enemy, in a sense, but this isn't our enemy. This should not be what we are against. We should be really excited about this collaboration. And, it gives people something to push for. It gives people something to shoot for a goal. Hey, I'm going to do a HYROX competition in a couple months. Cool. Let's train for that. That's awesome. It's a great thing, I think. I think that we should be collaborating with these people and, going back against Big Soda and that kind of stuff. That's our enemies we should be going after, not HYROX.
Yeah, when you mentioned enemy, it reminded me, I remember Greg Glassman said one time something about, people are worried about Gold's Gym. Like Gold's Gym, they're not the competition. McDonald's, that's the competition. Like that's who we're all fighting against, right? And maybe that's the end of the call. Maybe that sums up the entire HYROX picture, right? As far as that goes. One thing, Kenny, you mentioned is, adventure racing, right? Or whatever, obstacle course racing, OCR, or whatever you want to call it. So is HYROX basically is it just a Spartan race you don't have to drive 3 hours outside the city to do?
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty similar. Like you get your whole office to do it or your whole gym to do it. Like it's an opportunity for people to participate and hang out together, and the barrier of entry is very low. Like you don't need to be skilled. You don't need to know how to do handstand push-ups or snatches or anything complex. It's just easy and everybody could jump in on it. Like I would even have my mom, who's 75 years old, do a HYROX because it's going to take her a while, but it's not hard to do. It's like if you're trying to be competitive at it, it's hard, but like all the elements are pretty easy. It's like carry this, row, ski. It's pretty user friendly. And that's what I liked about it when I first started working with it.
Now, someone could say that CrossFit's obsession with constantly varied programming and constantly varied competition maybe is what left a gap for HYROX predictable model, right? You know what you're going for, what the event's going to be. And so maybe that's less intimidating to sign up for. What do you think about that, Wes Piatt, as far as the programming for, competitors in CrossFit or like a HYROX? Do you think that one, being one race every single time, is that good, bad? What are your thoughts on that situation?
I think it's great. It gives them a benchmark to come back to every year and to try again, or every quarter or whatever. We have the same thing every year at our gym. We do this thing called the Unity Games. It literally is the same 3 events every year, and we keep your scores and you get to see your progress. And I think it's just another data point. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk athlete flow, the athlete pipeline real quick, right? So back in the day, CrossFit made thousands of new weightlifters, right? So is HYROX doing the same for endurance athletes, getting them into CrossFit? Alen, as your gym, as you're an affiliate of both, is that something you see? Do you see people coming in that are runners and are showing up at the gym because you offer HYROX, or is it more of CrossFitters that start doing it as well?
I don't see my runners or my boutique gyms coming into HYROX and then switching over to CrossFit. I just don't see that right now. I think they enjoy the light impact, the challenge of the race more than the CrossFit skill level right now. So yeah, I don't see that transitioning over just yet.
Almost like we mentioned, almost like a obstacle course race, but that you can do in town, right? So it's that type. That's maybe some people started doing CrossFit, because they did a Spartan race or something, but I'm not sure that I had to. I don't know if we've had any new members because of that type of thing. So you have an similar experience there. Wes Kitts, if CrossFitters are starting to adding more running and monostructural work and focusing on these and maybe getting away from a barbell in the process, can they still be as fit as possible?
Oh, man, I don't know.
What a great question.
Yeah. I personally think weightlifting is really important. I think it was a good addition to CrossFit when they were putting it all together. There's a lot of tenets of what you're trying to accomplish with CrossFit that weightlifting feeds into. I think it is kind of a mistake to get away from those skills and education around them, because they're not impossible to master and to get people moving safely. And one thing snatching does is it encourages everybody to work on their mobility, right? If you want to snatch better, you're going to work on your shoulder mobility, your hips, and people are going to start doing the couch stretch again. There's just a lot of aspects to it that I think are important that you kind of get away from when you avoid it.
Sure. Kenny, what's the HYROX athlete vibe compared to CrossFit culture? Is it more approachable, more driven? Are people more friendly? Is it the same, or is it just better lighting since it's always indoors?
I think the general consensus amongst these guys, it's a lot of runners, right? Like if you're looking at the elite guys, the top 15, I think there's a lot more talking amongst the HYROX guys, at least at the top, than there is amongst other like CrossFit. I remember in the early days of CrossFit, everybody's like cheering each other on. I think this is a little bit more competitive when it comes to that. And it's a lot of these guys who are runners. I don't really think you need to be skilled at any of the other stuff. Like, could you shave a couple seconds off your rowing time or your ski time? Sure. But there's it's mostly runners coming in, or like college level runners who are coming in and really dominating this. I mean, to be good at HYROX, or to be kind of that elite 15 that they talk about, you have to have a lot of running underneath your belt, right? Like you're not just going to walk into this and run a 3:20 marathon or a 3-minute marathon, 3-hour marathon or something. Like these guys are really good runners, and then they kind of work on a lot of the other stuff. I just did the Lifetime Games 2 weeks ago, and they're kind of doing like sort of a similar thing between CrossFit. And again, they're moving the minimal amount of weight as fast as possible, and it no longer becomes a test of strength. It's just a test of endurance. So a lot of these guys have great cardiovascular strength. They're already like their VO2 max and their resting heart rates are incredible already. Now they're just applying it to this new game they're playing.
Yeah. And so one thing you mentioned is how you feel like you feel in your experience, it may not have the same community vibe. I think part of the reason CrossFit gets that is because you're working out doing CrossFit together in the gym every day. And so everyone's suffering. Whereas with these races, like you said, you get a lot of runners who have maybe just kind of fiddled around with the equipment a little bit, and they show up on race day, and it's much more of a individual viewpoint because they're not in the gym necessarily training with, am I getting that right?
Yeah, I think CrossFit like allows you to one of my favorite things about CrossFit was all like the group workouts, right? You like partner up with 2, 3, 4 people, whatever it is, and compete in a workout together. So you're suffering together. And I think at the root, if you ask Matt Frazier or the old lady who just started CrossFit a week ago, they'll say the best thing about the CrossFit is the community. I don't think there's much of a community being built around HYROX. It's more of a competition. They're trying to build. They'll tell you, they'll be the first ones to be like, we're building a sport. They're trying to build a sport. They're not trying to build a community. I think CrossFit was trying to build a community, and I think Greg Glassman's still trying to build a community.
Yeah. Wes Kitts, you've trained weightlifting on a team, you've trained by yourself. You've kind of done both worlds. What are your thoughts as far as, training in a group of individuals compared to by yourself? You're a driven individual, obviously. You don't go to compete in 2 Olympics by not caring. But so just speak to that a little bit as far as, do you see a benefit in training with a group in an individual sport, right? Because if HYROX is essentially an individual sport, I know they have pairs or doubles or whatever, but weightlifting is in theory an individual sport, but teams train together. There are teams, right? So what's your experience as far as training individually compared to training with others, and maybe the different attitudes that maybe weightlifters have if they're training by themselves or on teams?
Yeah, so for me, I was a team sport athlete first, like my whole life. I didn't start weightlifting until I was 24. So I really enjoy the camaraderie of a group, and like suffering together was like a big part of like football off season, right? Like most of those, I enjoyed the workouts, but a lot of guys don't. But we just all kind of bought in and did it. And for me, I'd much prefer training with a big group. And weightlifting workout, it takes 2+ hours to do. So you're sitting in there by yourself for 2 hours. You can only listen to music so loud when you're alone before it gets weird. And you can only do that so much in a week before you're sort of over it. So there's just something to be said about grinding together. And like, that's even aside from having somebody that challenges you or pushes you. A lot of times I'd have training partners in different weight classes, or that weren't necessarily training at my level, but just having that person to be with and bounce ideas off of and talk to while I'm going through that training was much preferred to sitting in the gym by myself. So even at Cal Strength, we kind of ebbed and flowed, but finding somebody to train with me was always a high priority for Dave and I.
Yeah, Wes, me and you have shared a bar a handful of times, and a lot of times your final snatch was equal or heavier to my final clean and jerk. But, we're still lifting together on the bar. I had the opportunity to talk some shit, encourage each other. And I think there's something to that, right? Is training with that team, you cheer for people that aren't yourself. When you're doing all of your training by yourself, the only person you're, cheering for is yourself, right? So maybe you have a different attitude going into some things. Alen, as far as in the gym, like what happens on the floor when both coexist? So my questions are you programming hybrid classes, separately, or are you just programming certain days within your CrossFit classes to be more endurance focused? What does that look like as far as programming for both, both things in one gym?
Well, first off, HYROX, when you're an affiliate, they give you programming. So their programming is honestly, it's CrossFit. There's still Tabatas, there's still EMOMs, there's still rounds. There's just no barbell. So you're still doing box jumps, wall balls, sleds, rowing, skiing, even dumbbell snatches. It's really no different. So there is a community when we're running this. It's the same exact thing as CrossFit. People are just not intimidated to go over and scale at the CrossFit side. So they're just side by side classes. I mean, we have a large space, so we just split the gym up half HYROX, half CrossFit. One has a barbell, the other one has dumbbells.
Yeah, it's almost like scaling the workouts for your your older population or whatever's going on. By the way,
it's
also
exactly
guys,
what that is.
Yeah, Alen has a beautiful gym up in Southern Oregon. So you guys ever find yourself there, make sure you stop in. So Kenny, on that kind of topic, when you're getting ready for a HYROX race, or I guess, do you get ready for a HYROX race other than like tie your shoes that morning? So leading up to a race, do you change anything in your training, or do you just kind of steady as she goes? And if you're training CrossFit, 3 to 5 days a week, you're probably good to go.
I mean, I tend to try to stay in the best shape always. I'm always running. I'm always training. And just like the boys said, it's very much like CrossFit. If HYROX sends you programming, it looks like a CrossFit workout. It's EMOMs, it's AMRAPs. They're doing box jumps, which you don't even do in HYROX, and they have you doing like kettlebell swings, which you don't do in HYROX. The only thing, if you were really going to train for HYROX, I would just run. I would do short intervals, long intervals. I would do some pace running. I would do just like simple stuff to get really good at running if I wanted to be competitive at HYROX. I think it's a fun little activity to do on the weekends if you're not trying to be competitive with it. And training for it should look like CrossFit training. And if you're training CrossFit all the time, there's really nothing you need to ramp up to other than just running. You know, doing more deadlifts and more bench press isn't going to make you a better HYROX athlete.
No,
But, like,
you could
I
argue
mean,
make you a worse one, right?
Yeah, but I would continue to train those things so you're just more of a well-rounded human being.
So what about compare that to marathons? Like if you know you have a marathon on the schedule, is it essentially the same? Do you just add in some running, maybe some longer runs, or is it exactly the same deal?
Yeah, I think it's going to be because you're running at such volume. You know, if you follow very traditional marathon training, you're going to do a lot of volume where there needs to be a lot more recovery involved. There needs to be a lot more stretching. I would do a lot more, mobility work. I wouldn't be hitting the weights as hard. My longer runs, I probably would lay off legs as much. I wouldn't be going hammer like a leg press or leg extensions a day before or a day after I did a long run. So my training would change a little.
Yeah. Wes Piatt, do traditional CrossFitters need more zone 2 training, or is zone 2 just a fancy word for 70% effort days?
No, I think if you come consistently to classes, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, that you shouldn't need anything else to be a good average human being in this world that can play a pickup game of basketball on the weekend or go snowboarding when it's time to run up to Tahoe. Like, no, you don't need extra zone 2 training. You need more consistency coming to classes is what you need.
Yeah, it's funny. People, all this, I'm doing my zone 2 training. I'm like, you're just taking an easy day. Like, what do you like?
Well, like what you were talking about with Kenny just now, like it would be appropriate if we had somebody that was going into HYROX or going to do a marathon. It's like, yeah, let's add some more zone 2 training. That makes sense for the goal you're going after. But if your goal is just to be like a fit dad, like, no, you don't need that. You just need to come to class more often and high five people after you're done laying on the floor.
Yeah, maybe do some more running to kind of be in the flow, get the pounding on the body, that type of stuff, just get your body used to it. We've had some people, members who used to run ultras, right? Used to run ultra marathons, came in, started doing CrossFit, did CrossFit for 2 years, didn't do any running outside of what they did in CrossFit for 2 years, and then went and ran a 50 miler just to see if they still had it. And they said they felt better the entire race and better the days afterwards, except their feet were just fucked up beyond anything they'd experienced because they didn't have the volume of running, right? And so if nothing else, upping the running just to get your feet used to the running, use the impact, just the kind of specialized things.
I would even be interested to see what their just normal steps are every day. Like if they're getting under 10,000 steps a day because they have a seated job, honestly, they might not need more running. They might need to get 15 to 20,000 more steps a day and like less impact on the body actually,
Yeah, that's interesting. Alen, so do you have people walk into the gym because you're a HYROX affiliate, or just when you have people generally walk into the gym, how do you explain to a new person the difference without confusing them? Or do you just ignore it and start training them and see where they end up?
No, lately in the last 6 months to 8 months, I've had an influx of people just want to do HYROX. They want to train for the next race. They're like, oh, I'm signed up for the Vegas race. They've never even did a HYROX before in their entire life. They're signing up for these races and just want to train for it. And I just explain to them, it's pretty much CrossFit without a barbell. I mean, that's what I tell them. And it's a lot of running. Where CrossFit's like, usually the run is the rest. In HYROX, the stations are the rest, while the run is everything, So it's pretty much how I explain things. It's just, we just got to build your endurance and then let's train for your next race.
So you have had recently an influx of people showing up looking for a place to train HYROX.
Yeah. Yep. It's just constantly every day, at least 1 or 2 people a day.
There you go. That's super interesting. So more so than CrossFit recently, you think?
Yeah, way more than CrossFit.
Man, see, that's interesting to me too, because the races, they only have like one a month and they're in different cities all around. Like, where's the nearest HYROX to you even? Like there might be one in Portland, I suppose, or something at some point.
No, like I said, the next one is in Vegas and that's in like, I think January. So people are getting ready, 3-4 months of training and they're ready to go. So it's like vacation for them too. So that's what they do. Let's go hit up a race and take a couple of days off.
Kenny, you're media savvy. What's HYROX doing right that CrossFit could learn from?
I think what they've done right at a lot of the races is getting these pictures out to people, right? Like because they're their races, they own the content, they own the pictures. They've done a really nice job of like, hey, we're going to get pictures of everybody and then we're going to share them with everybody. And now this is what helped them go viral is that they're doing all the content. You go to a CrossFit competition and, you know, the gym or the plates will have the pictures and they'll put them up on their page. They don't do a good job of like getting it out to the people they actually have pictures of. So the people who actually now have the pictures who ran the race are posting about it. Now their friends see it. Now they want to go do it. So I think they've done a really good job of executing on a lot of that.
From the media side of things.
Yeah, because what the OCR races did wrong was they charged you for the picture. You went
right. Disneyland
and they charged you for like the picture. They would have been better off giving you the picture so that you could share it so that more people would have done it.
Yeah. That's great. I think you're right. Yeah. It's almost like a short-sighted thing. Like we'll charge for the picture, maximize revenue, maximize profits. But then if you're ultimately stunting growth, and if you look at what happened within those obstacle course racing, they all ended up eating each other, right? Like I believe that Spartan Race bought Tough Mudder and that Tough Mudder might've bought, oh man, there's another one. I don't remember.
Battle Frog.
What's that?
Battle Frog, I think.
Battle Frog. There's one.
You remember Battle Frog?
Was that like
it was like it was just like any other obstacle course race. It was the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I did one. I can't remember the name of it now, but we gave us Viking helmets at the end, so that was dope.
Dick.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah, I liked that. Yes, they always kind of bought each other up, and then as the because I think it is one of those things, and I guess this is the next question. One of those things where, I've done the Tough Mudders, I've done some Spartan races, all that. They're fun. It's a good time. But how many of those are you doing, the next time they're around? Do you feel like you have to do it? And some people are Spartan people. They love it. They're trying to get the trifecta, all this different stuff. But also the courses are different in different places, different times, moving around. With HYROX having that one singular race, do you think it has the staying power, Kenny? Or do you think that people might burn out? You do one race and you kind of feel like, okay, I did that. Maybe you do one more to try and beat your time. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been saying this since the beginning. I was fortunate enough to work with these guys very early on, 2019, 2020. And I had said to them, I was like, I think eventually you might want to change it up because people are going to get tired of it. I know there's people that I've done HYROX with early on who've done it once or twice and they're like, I'm over it. And then you have a lot of these people who are like, I'm going to do my 12th one and my 15th one. I got a guy in my gym who's probably done 10 of them, 12 of them. And like for me, it's like I'm burnt out of them. And I think another thing, I'd probably do another one or two more. I mean, I was just with one of the founders last night and he's like, oh, do you want to come out to Chicago? I was like, I don't want to go through all the, because now it's in the beginning, it was like, oh, there was 500 people there. You show up, you do the race and it's kind of whatever. Now it's like, it's a whole system. It's like, you might not get a slot to go till like 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. So it's like, depending on where you get slotted or like what time your heat is, you could go at 7 in the morning or you could go at 8, 9 o'clock at night. So it's just, you don't know until they come out with the charts and stuff. So.
Wes Piatt, you've had a CrossFit affiliate for a long time. What should CrossFit affiliates watch out for before they just slap a HYROX sticker on their wall and on their website?
I would say to make sure it's not going to affect the community that they've already built and what they've already probably worked their entire career to build and to have that feel and that vibe. And then all of a sudden you have this other thing come in and it kind of takes over and then the vibe is gone and you lose all of your members that have been with you for forever, right? Because they're taking over space or they're taking up class times or they're doing whatever. So I would just make sure like Alen, it sounds like he's got a great space where he's able to have two things happening at once. And he's not taking away from the experience of the CrossFitters. He's almost adding to the experience of the CrossFitters with this new community. I would just make sure it doesn't mess with your, I guess, quote unquote vibe that you have at your gym.
Alen, have you experienced any of that as far as people getting split, almost like two communities within the gym? Is there infighting? Are you actually not the Switzerland of fitness after all? Like what's
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, there is a little, I have some, of my competitive CrossFitters because you need turf for these sleds. So I have turf half my gym and, some of these people like turf doesn't belong in a CrossFit gym. What is this doing in here, or they want to do handstands and they're like, I don't want to do handstands or wall walks on this turf, whatever. But, I'm just going through the motions right now. We'll see what happens. I'm glad I know my community very well, but I don't see them going anywhere, but that's what, there's still a divide.
Do you think that maybe trying to encourage, people to try the other thing would make a difference? Or is it just kind of like, it just is what it is, right? Like the HYROX people just want to do those classes and the CrossFitters think that that's silly. And that's just a personality type thing.
Yeah, I just think it's a personality type thing. I'm hoping so. We'll see. I mean, I've been doing it for about 2 years now, so I haven't had anybody leave or do anything because of the change. But there's always mumbles around saying, "Are we more of a HYROX gym now? Are we a CrossFit gym?" And I'm like, we'll always be a CrossFit gym. We were a top 100 affiliate, so we'll always be that. That's our bread and butter. We're just giving an option out there.
Wes, you have the weightlifting team and the weightlifting side, and then the CrossFit affiliate as well. I don't know do you have very much carryover? Do you have many of your regular CrossFit members that train weightlifting, or any of your weightlifters that dabble on the CrossFit side ever? Or is it pretty much the weightlifting team and then the affiliate?
Yeah, it's pretty well separate, and our weightlifting side is like it's a completely different area in the gym. So it's like it's not, I don't know, it's not connected enough that it interrupts each other. I have a few members that'll come over there, like if they don't want to do the workout that day, or they're getting into like their weightlifting, they'll come over there. But I do a small group thing at the gym, so we'll run 1-on-4 classes during the day, and a lot of people that want to work on something specific, like if they want to work on their strength, usually we put them in one of those. It's just like they get the coaching that they need to improve them, and they can pick if it's just snatch or if it's just clean and jerk or whatever movement they want to focus on. So that's usually where they get caught if they want to go work on their weightlifting. I don't know. I think because our weightlifting group does it at such a high level, I don't know, people might not feel like they can just jump into it. There's a few brave souls that they don't mind to walk in there and grab a bar and hang out, but it's, I don't know, everybody's not into it.
Well, there might be, there's enough difference. Your weightlifting side is a competitive weightlifting team, and the CrossFit is, CrossFit affiliate. Also, I think there's mutual respect on both sides. I think weightlifters have done some CrossFit and understand how challenging it is and that it's good for people. I think everyone kind of agrees that it's good for people if their goal isn't to compete in weightlifting. And I think CrossFitters definitely have respect for weightlifters as far as, what they can do and the way they can lift. And I feel like maybe there's not that respect as far as the CrossFitters looking at people that are just doing HYROX, right? They might see it as a less challenging form of the thing they're doing, whereas weightlifting is a more challenging form of the thing they're doing, right? I don't know. Potentially that could be part of the rub there. So, I mean, where's this going, right? So when I searched HYROX for affiliates near me, basically what I found was F45 gyms. I didn't even know there's that many F45 gyms, to tell you the truth. Maybe Wes Piatt, seen a lot of F45 gyms embrace HYROX and not that many. Like there's definitely more CrossFit gyms than F45s around here. And a lot of the F45s were HYROX affiliates and almost none of the CrossFits were. Is that because they're both just CrossFit light ripoffs, or is it because F45s figured something else out?
I mean, if you hear what Alen said about the programming that he gets, it sounds like it's pretty much just F45, as a new thing called HYROX. And so it would make a lot more sense, I think, for those to go together, and probably a lot easier for people from F45 to do HYROX to do F45. Maybe even that community is a little bit better in there too, because of the things you just said, Danny, about
more
CrossFit,
similar.
Yeah, totally. I could see that for sure.
So I believe, I could be wrong. Maybe, I don't know if you guys know, but F45, they don't really use barbells either, right?
They use like 15 pounders.
They do?
Yeah, like 15-pound little guys.
Kenny, you have any experience with F45 or done any of that?
No, I've never done it, but I have a couple people who come to my gym who train at an F45, and they do like some of them are allowed to have, I don't know what the deal is, but some of them have bigger barbells, like actual real size, like 45 and 35-pound barbells.
Barbells for men, we call it.
And then they have the little ones, the ones that you would see in like one of those HIIT classes in a big box gym.
With the weights attached to the sides.
Yeah, and if they're like the square.
Yeah.
Plates. Yeah.
Dude, those things are dope for curls. Like if I'm trying to do a set of 21s or like a burnout set, I want to go to that little attached barbell rack,
Yeah. What's the thing out of it's out of Australia. They do like the HIIT class with that thing. It's huge. It's massive.
Yeah.
Oh,
They did like an event in Laguna Beach one time, and Kenny Leverich and Noah Olson did it and beat all of them. Yeah, what was that called? I know you're talking about though.
Yeah, it's like some HIIT work, and they'll get thousands of people to show up there.
Man, wasn't planning on going this direction, but kind of brought up. So with that 45, and then there's like Orange Theory, right? And I think there's some more tech involved with it and that type of thing. Is CrossFit somewhere missing the boat as far as not getting more involved with like whatever, putting heart rate monitors on people or doing different things like that? Is that something that maybe CrossFit should look into evolving more, knowing that people tend to like that type of thing? Or is it, hey, that let the people do that want to do that, and we're just over here working hard and trying to improve our skills? Wes Piatt, what do you think? And you seem to have some reactions there.
Yeah. Have you seen the WorQ device that just came out?
I think I saw an ad for it on Facebook.
That's something I could get behind.
It counts your reps, right?
It tracks your range of motion. It tracks your overall time you're resting versus time you're working. That data I can get behind. Heart rate I can't get behind just because of the muscle contraction around the arteries and veins that we do so often in the movements we do, that I don't think heart rate is a good correlate for what we do. But I think that something like that WorQ device that came out, that could be really just honestly fun, I think, to look at that data.
Yeah. Wes Kitts, do you use any sort of technology when you're training other than like your cell phone to film some lifts?
No, I'm pretty low tech guy. I've got a heart rate monitor, and I threw it on some when I had to cut from 109 to 102 the first time, but I don't know why. I was wearing it to do some stuff. I played racquetball in it. I did one squat workout. I got my heart rate pretty high. I thought that was interesting, but as far as like, I don't know. I couldn't really find a good reason to have it on.
Yeah. And, maybe I'm doing it wrong or don't know enough about it, but I don't really mess with that stuff. Although recently when I started doing some cycling to prepare for that Tahoe ride I did, it was a 73-mile ride up at elevation, lots of climbing, that type of stuff. You start getting into it.
He did it in a tutu.
Yeah, I did it in a tutu. So again, right before we're going, so you're on our team, we're wearing tutus. All right, man, let's pop it on. And so leading up to that, though, it's like the cycling, there's all this gear, it's like, there's power monitors you can hook on, then you got to know your RPMs on the pedals. You put a heart rate monitor on and all this. And some of it was really useful, like knowing your RPMs and your pedaling is helpful because you want to keep it at a certain rate in order to make sure it is more of an aerobic event and not so much just grinding it out and wearing your legs out and stuff. But as far as like the heart rate side of things go, I wear it because there's a spot for it on my screen and it's kind of fun afterwards. I'm like, oh, look at that. I averaged 160 beats a minute for an hour straight. But the truth is, I think it's from the CrossFit background. I just never found that it mattered. I figure like at sometimes I'm like pretty winded and I might need to slow down a little bit or change gears. And other times I feel pretty good, so I should try harder. And I think that, but it's fun. But it's fun to look at the number. And so sometimes I wonder, how much of that is because people like it and like to see the number and all that, or how much it matters. So, so I think in the end, when we talk about, we started off talking about CrossFit and weightlifting, and then is that turning into, with weightlifting, talking trash on CrossFit, and is that the same story happening now in reverse? And this is where I think CrossFit's missing the mark on this particular topic. Back in 2010, USA Weightlifting actually partnered with CrossFit for a USA Weightlifting competition, for one competition. You did a sanctioned weightlifting meet and then one CrossFit workout, and they combined your scores to find the winner. I actually flew out to Colorado Springs to compete in it, and it's the reason I started competing in weightlifting. Knowing I was going to do that, I thought I should do some weightlifting meets beforehand, so I don't show up out there and try to figure out the warm-ups and everything on the fly. So without that event, I would have never started competing in weightlifting. There'd be no Caffeine Kilos without that event. There would be none of the tens of thousands of dollars that we donated to USA weightlifting over the last dozen years. And I probably wouldn't know any of you guys. All right. Maybe Wes Piatt and I, we might have been somewhere. We're pretty close. But my thought is that CrossFit should attempt to do the same with HYROX. Maybe they can work something out. Maybe HYROX is part of the Open or the Games or just a co-branded event. Where would a collaboration would actually benefit both joint event, shared judging standards, or even a HYROX style Open, just to get some of these, expose more of these HYROX athletes to CrossFit, the way that CrossFit exposed so many athletes to weightlifting. Kenny, you got something to say on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. As much as I'd love to see the unity of it and have them work together, I think it might be just too much going on. I think they're already meshing together in their own way. HYROX is already kind of taking some of the top athletes of CrossFit and have them competing and have them sharing. And I think a lot of these guys,
and Hunter just beats them all.
Yeah, and these guys are kind of proving that, but they're all still competitive, right? They're not too far behind. But I think staying separate entities might be good for both ends of them. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe CrossFit and USA Weightlifting did that one collaborative meet, and then that was it, right? And so maybe there's a reason, so I think I'm thinking more of like a one-time thing, do something together, collaboration, right?
I feel like because HYROX has so many elements within its own thing, like if you were to do like some sort of like weightlifting component, like a clean and jerk or a snatch or something, and then add that to a CrossFit competition, it meshes a little bit easier visually and more, holistically. I think it just makes more sense than doing like a whole HYROX and then doing some CrossFit element.
I think 2026 CrossFit Open week 1 workout is 1,000-meter run, 1,000-meter ski, 1,000-meter run. Instead, just send everyone out the door for 90 minutes, and then we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing, lightning round. Wrap this up. Quick hits. Here we go. If you could steal one element from HYROX and use it for CrossFit, what is that, Alen?
The endurance, the running. It's just, instead of a 6-minute WOD, maybe longer WODs, 30, 40-minute WODs.
More longer duration WODs. Glassman always talks about how your capabilities are at the edges of your training. And so pushing out the training duration some might increase people's fitness a little bit. Kenny Santucci, your thoughts. One element from HYROX using CrossFit, what would that be?
I think the burpee broad jumps, I think people have a good time with those. I love watching. Like, I've always used them as a warm-up for any of them, like the gyms I was at. It's kind of just a good, easy, I think there's a skill component, like how far can I jump? And then there's that athletic component and just pick yourself up off the ground. So using that as more of a CrossFit workout, obviously you need a lot more room, but I like the burpee broad jumps.
You ever do the burpee mile?
No, I have not.
No, me either. Sounds like
I've
done
400 meters and I didn't want to do anymore.
Yeah, I did 400 meters of burpee broad jumps. And that felt like enough. I will say I do enjoy a burpee broad jump because I got a pretty good broad jump. And I like to just send it out there, see how many of those little horse stall mats I can clear. Like let them know what time it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. If you could delete one CrossFit movement forever, Wes Piatt, what would it be?
The handstand push-up.
Handstand push-up. You don't like gymnastics?
Yeah. I got long arms. That's a personal thing more than it is.
All right, Santucci.
But I do think that the compression on the neck a little bit, sometimes I'm like, do we need to be doing that, But I don't know.
Santucci, since you love burpee broad jumps so much, you want to bring those into CrossFit. What do you want out of CrossFit?
I'd probably say like another overhead movement, a thruster. I've just always sucked at them. I've never been good at it. And I see somebody like Wes, who's just when we did that total.
Yeah.
At the game.
I'm like, he made that look way too fucking easy. And here I am. I'm like, I'm hoping I get 205.
Yeah. I will say biggest benefit of in CrossFit of training weightlifting. There's the obvious snatch, clean and jerks that you're better at. But thrusters, man, if we're doing like a 1 rep or a 2 rep cluster or something, like a clean it off the ground into 2 thrusters, oh man, that feels good. After some weightlifting training, like you can send that bar. It's pretty nice. Wes Kitts, would you rather your mom does CrossFit or HYROX?
Please say CrossFit.
Yeah, I mean, so I got mom to come to CrossFit class one time, but the jumping around and something with having to pee or something, it wasn't favorite. So if she was gonna pick, she'd probably do HYROX. But yeah, I think I'd go CrossFit if I was gonna push her one way or the other.
Santucci, what about you? Has your mom been working out?
Yeah, my mom's
I've met your mom. I love your mom. I've met your mom a few times.
My mom's been to every rendition of a gym I had, both CrossFit gyms, and then now I have, my private training, kind of group fitness stuff, and she does it every day. She's not good at it, but does it.
Yeah. My mom goes to, we have a class at my gym called CrossFit Silvers. It's for ages 60 plus. And anyway, my parents are in there every day for the classes. Today was our 1 year anniversary. We had a little potluck. It was great, man. Yeah. Our coach cried during her speech. It was the whole deal. And okay, so moving on. Here we go. Scenario. If you have a daughter, which that's true for two of us, I know for sure anyway. You have a daughter and she brings home a boyfriend and you find out that he's a HYROX fiend whose max deadlift is body weight. Do you have any respect for him, Alen?
Oh my God. Oh, that's a tough one, man. I'm going to get hurt for this one. No, I mean, I'm sorry. Not at all. You can't. It's tough. It's a tough thing.
Wes Piatt, do you respect a young man who only deadlifts his body weight?
Oh my God. I don't want to say no, but no.
Oh, please.
Yeah, there we go. Santucci, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, if I ever have kids, they're all going to be doing jujitsu and CrossFit and every type of other. So if they're dating some guy who's not doing it, it's going to be fucking embarrassing for everybody involved.
Yeah, Wes, what's the minimum amount of weight your daughter's boyfriend has to be able to deadlift for you to allow him into the house?
Oh, that's a lot. My 3 and 4 year old, I think, deadlift body weight already. So they might be better equipped than whoever that guy that's coming home with the daughter is there.
Yeah, my 8-year-old daughter, it's been about a year, but anyway, a year ago they did some heavy deadlifts and she had no problem with the 70-pound kettlebell when she was 7 years old. And my 12-year-old, she deadlifted 155 pounds for a set of 5. And she's like 4'10", weighs like 95 pounds. And so I kind of feel like it's a pretty low barrier here. And so I think we're all on the same page. All right. That's a wrap for today's Not in My Box. Big thanks to Wes, Kenny, and Alen for providing the best opinions by people who actually have experience with the things they're talking about. If you overestimated your aerobic capacity listening to this, congratulations. You're one of us. Make sure to buy some coffee from caffeinekilos.com. Go follow Wes Kitts on his upcoming weightlifting journey. Check out the Strong AF podcast with Kenny. And if you live in beautiful Southern Oregon, go say what's up to Alen. Make sure to share this with the coach who still think running ruins gains. And remember, if your workout was HYROX race, you just paid $150 for a single CrossFit WOD.